Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today I'm going to show you how to take some fresh oysters and smoke them up to absolute perfection. Sound good? Let's get started. What I have here are 10 raw oysters from the great state of Maine. First thing you want to do whenever you're doing any oysters is to give them a nice bath. You want to get them under some hot soapy water and really give them a good scrub. That's whether you're shucking them or whether you're cooking them. You just want to get any of the nasty stuff that's on there off of them. Now, usually when I'm doing oysters, I am going raw. So what I would do is I would get my shucking knife in there, give it a little pry, and pop them right open. But since we are cooking these, we can actually do it a lot easier. Oysters have a decent amount of water inside of them. So if you put them into a spot where you heat up that water, the steam is going to just open them right up. So you can throw them on your grill, you can throw them into your oven. What I'm going to do is throw them on the grill. So I'm just going to get my grill rip-roaring hot, toss them on for a couple seconds or, up to 15 minutes in some cases. But hot enough we will watch them just open right up. Once that's done, we'll come back here, move on to our next step. About 7 minutes later for me, and these are done. See, this is what I was talking about. You can see that it kind of opened up there, the crack. Basically the point where I can just pull it right off. And here's our little oyster. Now these are not cooked, but I'm going to take them, take a knife so I can get as much as I can. Cut it off. I'm going to put it onto you can put them directly on your rack. I'm going to do like a pan like this, a slotted pan, just so I don't lose them. And we're just going to take all these, cut them out, and throw them onto our pan. This is also a good point to get your smoker up and running. I'm running it as low as mine will go, which is about 180 degrees. If you can do 160, that would probably be ideal. But 180 degrees for me. And get your smoker running, and then we'll get out and throw these on. And as you can tell, these are pretty ginormous oysters. I'm going to give them just a little spritz of olive oil and just a very little bit of salt. You don't need to do really any, honestly. There's plenty of salt water in here. I have a thing for salt, so just a little bit more. Now, if your presentation is to put these back onto the oyster shell, you just want to keep the kind of the rounded scoopy side. You can obviously smoke these, put them back in, put some horseradish, whatever, make a nice little cocktail. I'm probably going to end up putting these into pasta, so it's not necessary. If you want to keep them, absolutely keep them. You don't need the flat side. You can toss those. But let's get out there. My smoker is up and running, and let's throw these on. Like I said, lowest temperature you can get, mine's going to be 180. If you can do 160, that's probably ideal. About an hour for me, guys, and these are looking done. Honestly, if you're cooking at about 180, you're looking somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. You don't want them to really dry up so they're hard. You want them to still have some softness to them. But this is good. These are good right here. These were fresh. They were ready to be eaten raw, so you really don't have to worry too much about, any nasties in there. But these have gotten a decent amount of smoke. You can see the color change. That is all smoke flavor. I'm going to take them in, let them cool off, and I'll show you what you can do with them. Now, to be honest with you guys, up here in the Northeast, the majority of my oysters are going to be freshly shucked and eaten raw. And to be honest, I usually don't even use any of that garlic butter, horseradish, or cocktail sauce. I kind of just like them just the way they are. But every once in a while, I want to do a dish that needs some oysters, and I'm probably going to cook them, whether that's frying them up or putting them into a pasta. And you know what? Adding that extra smoke flavor really adds a different level of depth to the flavor that comes out in an oyster. Now, I know that grilling oysters is pretty popular in many parts of the country, and at some point I'll do a video on that. But what I like to do is put butter in there and kind of braise them. But for me, when I'm just doing oysters to, not eat them raw, what I like to do is smoke them, get that flavor. And this is one of my favorite ways to do it. I mean, honestly, it's super simple. You basically just taking the oyster, popping the shell off, and then just throwing them onto the smoker. So at this point, what you can do, once you have your oysters and they are smoked down, you can store them for a pretty long time, putting them in olive oil. And by long time, I mean like a week or two. Put them in olive oil, put them in your fridge. They'll keep for a bit, and you can use them for pasta dishes or any sort of side you want to do that includes oysters. Another way to do these is take that shell that you've cleaned out completely, put your oyster back in, put some sauce in there. There's many different types of recipes you can do for sauce, and that'll be a nice kind of cooked, smoked flavor on a traditionally raw oyster, but it kind of has that same feel of just taking a shooter. But the real question on these oysters is, how do they taste? I know I added a little bit of salt. Usually it's not necessary, and I don't recommend it for a lot of people. These are pretty salty just by being salt water. Honestly, you could put some other flavorings on them. I like a little bit of olive oil because that kind of gives it a nice crisp on there. But the proof is going to be in the pudding, guys. Let's give it the old-fashioned chomp. If you're interested in what they look like, these little bivalves look like so. Delicious. So, let's give it a go. Now, it's probably no secret to any of you guys that have watched a lot of my videos. I love seafood, and these bivalves are no different. I love all mollusks. I like shellfish. I love fish. Just in general, seafood is kind of my thing. These are really, really good. Smoke on them is really great. I ended up using a fruit wood. You don't want a super harsh smoke on there because they do tend to take a lot of smoke really easily. And you really don't want to go much longer than an hour because you might get too much smoke on there. But this hour, 45 minutes to an hour at 180 degrees is pretty much perfect if you're using a pellet smoker. Any higher temperatures, you want to cut down the amount of time because honestly, you don't want to dry them out too much. And any lower temperatures, you might want to extend that a bit. But that's going to be it for today, guys. If you guys have never done oysters before, if it's, you know, kind of a thing where you don't want to have raw oysters, or you're just too daunted by the idea of taking a raw oyster and turning it into something that's cooked, give this one a try, guys. I highly recommend it. I don't think you are going to be disappointed. But most importantly, let me know down below, do you guys grill up oysters? Do you smoke them, or do you just like them raw? And also let me know, northeast or northwest, which are the best oysters? Now, as always, guys, cook something fantastic. That is the most important thing. And I will see you guys at the next UFO barbecue. Bye-bye.